Welcome back to Boom and Bust. I'm here with our guest today, Mr. Shannin Mettatwabin. He is, of course, a CEO of the National Aboriginal Capital Corporations Association. I think I got that right. Shannin, we were talking about some of the successes. It really sounds like very varied in terms of the investments that these corporations make, these entrepreneurial support corporations make. Really, are there any trends you're noticing? Like, are Aboriginal, Indigenous businesses really finding success in particular areas of our economy, do you think?
Well, I think the trend has been that we're growing our businesses. We're getting more complex and innovative. And the supports that the government has been providing all these years in the micro and small business, we've now grown into more medium-sized enterprises. We recently launched an Indigenous growth fund that allows us to create an institutional-grade investment tool that gives the private sector an opportunity to invest into our network, and we in turn lend that money out to our IFIs so that we can increase the size of the loans and participate more fully on some of the financing deals that are happening in Canada. And it's just starting. So we've got about 7 or 8 IFIs that have taken loans, and all the other ones are sort of building their capacity, getting used to the idea of having access to larger tranches of capital so that they can do more within their communities. And it's always about creating the capacity within your region so that more Indigenous people see entrepreneurship as an option for them.
Yeah, I noticed that you've one of the things that you're doing is having specific amounts and a focus on businesses started by youth as well as by women. Again, is that there to sort of broaden out successes in these areas?
It sure is. So we just started a women's program, and this is specifically targeting women in all of Canada. It provides capacity, a micro-lending program. It recognizes that women have different responsibilities at home, so part-time or other types of business opportunities are now eligible. Youth, we want to also target youth, provide some communication, some marketing directly to youth. They'll need some micro-lending, maybe some summertime type of businesses that create that seed so that they can create a business in the future when they start a full-time venture.
Interesting. And I would take it that a lot of your these investments that are done by your member associations are not in big cities, although some of them may be. But is that true that it's more kind of in rural Canada, or is it both big cities and rural Canada?
Well, it's actually a cross section. We got a lot of businesses. Almost 50% of them are mostly on First Nations reserves in the rural area and in urban. And our loans are actually higher repayment rates than most banks. 97% repayment on most of our loans, and it's based on the social connection that we have with our clients. Most communities look at their Indigenous financial institution as somewhat of like a cooperative. We're invested owners into that entity, so we make sure that everybody repays their loans. And in most cases, we know the individuals that are taking out the loans, and we've watched them grow up, so they make good business decisions based on the character, on the entrepreneur and the business.
Are you? It sounded like you're doing things as well to educate Indigenous people about the possibilities in business. Is that part of your mandate?
It is. Capacity is really important because sometimes it's not thought of as business as an opportunity or taking that risk. In most cases, Indigenous people don't have equity. They don't have any generational wealth because they're in the reserve. So everybody's very much stuck in a social trap. So building out of that mentality requires a little bit of understanding about saving a little bit, taking some financial literacy courses, understanding about the business they're going to get into, and then the financing structure of what they're going to get into, and then learning about the industry that they're going to get into. So we try to pepper different types of capacity programs throughout our network. Our IFIs do a great job of getting into the community.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I'm glad that you're taking that role and responsibility as well. We're having a discussion with Mr. Shannin Mettatwabin. He is the CEO of an organization called the National Aboriginal Capital Corporations Association. Great discussion. We're going to take a brief break, make sure our sponsors get the recognition they need, and we'll be back with our guest after that. Stay with us.